Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar on governance and decision-making for health equity, which is part of the Organizational Capacity for Health Equity Action initiative being supported by the National Collaborating Center for Determinants of Health. My name is Sume Ndumbe-Eyoh, and I'm on the line with my colleague Ashko Tete. You'll see her in the chat box, and you received some emails from her prior to today's meeting, and she'll be paying attention to your questions in there. We're pleased to have you on here today, and we're really looking forward to our conversation with you today. Today's webinar is brought to you by the National Collaborating Center for Determinants of Health, and we are located in Mi'kmahi, which is the ancestral and into the territory of the Mi'kmaq people. I'd like to acknowledge this land and thanks to the indigenous communities who have held a relationship with this land for generations, and also in recognition to the ongoing legacy of colonialism in our country today. And as part of today's webinar, we'll really be talking about issues of data governance, and our co-presenter, Jodi Bruhn, will be talking about some really interesting and promising approaches in terms of indigenous data governance. So I'm hoping that we can all reflect on that and reflect on our role and responsibilities as treaty people. The NCC, as many of you on the line know, I see a number of familiar names there. Our work really focuses on supporting the public health field with regards to how we can address the social determinants of health and reduce health inequities across Canada. And so we work with organizations, practitioners, and researchers in this regard. We are one of 6 national collaborating centers, and each center focuses on a different issue of relevance to public health. We are located across the country. So we have NCC focusing on Indigenous health, environmental health, infectious diseases, healthy public policy, as well as knowledge, methods, and tools for knowledge translation. And you can find out about all the NCCs by going to www.nccph.ca. I'm pleased to be sharing the presentation today with Jodi Bruhn, who is a director at Statues Canada. Jodi, if you're on the line, you can just say hi, and I'll introduce you. Okay, while Jodi is doing that, I'll just introduce her in a bit more detail. So Jodi is a published policy researcher and facilitator specializing in governance and Indigenous Crown relations. With experience in the public, academic, and not-for-profit sectors, she has advised senior government officials, parliamentarians, and Indigenous governments and organizations. She's been with Statues since 2012. Prior to that, she served as a research manager at Indigenous and Northern Affairs Canada and as lead analyst in the Standing Senate Committee on Aboriginal Peoples for the Parliament of Canada. From 2007 to 2008, she was a senior researcher at the Institute on Governance. Originally from the Prairies, she holds a PhD in political science and is an active member of the Canadian and American Political Science Association, and has also served as an advisor of the Center on Policy Management and Public Management and Policy at the University of Ottawa. It's a pleasure to have you here today. Welcome, Jodi.